Okay. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of May the 14th of the City of Twinsburg Council to order. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Ms. McFearin? Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Scaffide?
Here.
Mr. Furey?
Here.
Mr. Bellan?
Here. Okay. Next, let's join Mrs. Stauffer in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the approval of the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read through?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Scaffide seconds. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Okay. Next are awards and presentations. Do we have it?
There are none.
Okay. Next is audience participation.
First, we have Steve Barry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, city officials, and everyone here. My name is Sheriff Steve Barry, Summit County Sheriff, and the reason I am here, on April 22nd down at the southern end of the county, down in the city of Greene, we received a call that no one ever wants to receive, and that is a missing 2-year-old at 1:30 in the morning. We responded, my deputies responded along with some command personnel and supervision, and after a search of the house and a search of the immediate area, we had several factors involved in this. Number one, we had an autistic child who was nonverbal. We had a 2-year-old that was the size of almost a 4-year-old who was very mobile. And where they lived was approximately within 1/2 mile of an area known as the Portage Lakes, a branch of the Portage Lakes, a large body of water, as well as several fields and acreage of woods. Due to this, my sergeant called for anybody available to help with the response. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you, in over 35 years of being with the sheriff's office now, this response was unbelievable and very, very much appreciated, including members of the Twinsburg Fire Department who are trained, and they're on countywide teams for special operations and rescue teams. They responded, and like I say, we had almost 200 first responders, including a few civilians who were specially trained in these type of things. We had horses, we had dogs, we had ATVs, boats, you name it, we had it. And I'm here today. I feel that when we patrol an area, we are very fortunate to work with day to day with not only your police department, but obviously your fire department, who responds to calls in the township of Twinsburg, which is our jurisdiction. So I'm here today to say thank you to Chief Tim Morgan and his staff. I have some letters of appreciation for that response, and it did end happily. This was a thank God moment. The child was found in a car in an attached garage at a house down the street 5 hours into this. But the response was just unbelievable. I want to thank Chief Morgan as well as Chief Noga and his guys. We work hand in hand. We've got a great relationship with your city forces, and you have city safety forces second to none in your PD and FD. I want to thank them personally, and I felt that that's what I should do, and that's why I'm here tonight, to say thank you to all you ladies and gentlemen, as well as your city safety forces. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Bob Hughes.
Good evening, Bob Thews, 2229 Demi Drive in Meadowood. Last Tuesday we had an election. I didn't get to calculate the end of it, but right around 6 o'clock, 6:30, and we didn't have a big run at the end. We had about 12% of the people that were available to vote voted. Now, I understand it was a special election, but that's sad. That's sad that a city this size that should be concerned about their schools, that we had 1 in 10 show up to vote. And I'm not talking I'm talking absentee ballots too. So just, this is an opportunity to address everyone, particularly the city, that's not a good image to present. So, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Next, we have Sheila Williams.
Hello, everyone. I want to tell you thank you, Bob, because it really distresses me, and I understand what you're saying, and we have a subculture I'm going to talk about that don't vote and don't do anything but act like the Addams family shortly, and it ties into what you're saying. I want to give a report from Summit County Public Health. I'm going to give you some brief highlights. I was on the telephone earlier, and I'm going to start with the property on Graham Road. I know I talked to you all about it. It was up for sale. I wasn't sure if it was going to sell. Then we had a buyer. We received, after we paid the commission and we gave a little concession, $1.4 million. The way the terms of the money was set up from the county loan, we had to put it on the new building. So that money is going to be applied towards the debt of the Fairway Center. It's also going towards storm water problems. I don't know if anyone has been out there, but you come across railroad tracks, and there's just enough of an incline where they are having serious water backup problems, storm sewer waters, and Market Street is up as high as the table. We're down here where the chairs are, so I need not tell you what's happening. So we're going to be tearing up the driveway, doing a lot of different things, and so part of that money is going to be used for that, and I wanted to let you all know that. Then I want to talk about the 2020 budget. We were just approved by the county, and what we give and how much we operate on. And the city of Twinsburg contributes $210,000 plus some change to the health department. We are the health department for all of Summit County, so everyone is contributing something, and it's based on property evaluation. And the millage is .329. We did not ask for an increase from anyone this year. We are operating on this budget. I was very impressed. We have a $640 million property evaluation in the city of Twinsburg, according to county, because that's how it's determined who pays what. And, you know, when I looked at some of the other communities, they would love to have and do what we do. So I'm going to say bravo to us with the construction, with the infrastructures. Taxes get a little high every now and then, but, you know, I'm going to hang tough with it. But, you know, that says a lot for what we've done here in the community. So I wanted to make sure I talked about that. And I want to talk just briefly about the budget. We operate with Summit County Board of Health between 29 and 35 million a year. Of that, 17 million comes from the municipalities that contribute. The rest is grant money that Donna Skoda and her team, they write grants, they partner with grants. And so our grants can be as small as 10 million for the year and be as high as 13 to 14 million. And it's a beautiful thing because people are calling us. I don't know if any of you saw 60 Minutes about 3 weeks ago. There was a mention of Summit County, and we're part of the lawsuit with the state with this opioid crisis. And I want everyone to know deaths are down, but addiction is up. So don't be fooled when they tell you the deaths are down. This opioid addiction is just unbelievable. And that was our big conversation last week. The deaths are down, but what does it mean? And, you know, they said clearly to us, don't be fooled by that number. The addiction is very, very high. Tobacco 21 is doing well. We have more and more people, cities buying into it. And I'm going to close it by going into my personal thing, because I've got some stuff for my Addams family group. We live in a community that we tug of war back and forth. But I listen to some of the people sitting at the Health Department board with me, and they have some real serious issues that we don't have. And, you know, part of it is because love, like, or hate each other, you all do what's best for the city. So I wanted to give everybody that accolade, so when I come up here and act ugly the next time, you'll remember that. I want to talk about a meeting. I'm going to go to Ethan's first. When we had our Ethan's meeting, there were several residents, and Scott was there, and Bill was there, talking about how yards look, things that were going on, their concerns, because it's a PD community. And the board basically said, we can't do anything on private property, but we can deal with the surrounding areas, the bigger areas. And I think you asked the police department to kind of drive around because people were talking about that. And I know I talked to some of the seniors, and several of the condo associations are renting now. And with renters come another set of issues. And there was one couple, and I think I talked about them here to you all, how they were somewhat concerned because there's a no parking ban on the streets of Twinsburg unless something has changed. But they're parking on the streets all night. And you brought that up when you talked to the police department.
Police chief.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring it around to mine. We have, I call them the FAV 1012, that don't feel they have to pull permits, don't feel they have to follow ordinances. I call them the Addams Family Crew. And I'm more concerned about the seniors that live there that are all talking among themselves, but they're not going to say anything out loud because they're afraid of being intimidated. And I just told David, I said, you know, I love a good fight. Game on. We have rules here in the city of Twinsburg. There are permits to be pulled. HOAs have policies that are to be followed. Ethan's has a policy to be followed. I'm bringing this forward now. I'm trying to be proactive on this because my challenge now is there is a commitment to putting up 8-foot fences, which is not in anybody's ordinance in the city of Twinsburg.
Required.
You have to go through Ethan's to put up any kind of fence if you live up there, period. But I'm saying all this to say we have, just as over in Glenwood Acres, you all had things going on over there. I love the building department, but we have got to do a better job of this subculture that is moving into our community, doing what they want to do, when they want to do it, and then we want to take up an approach, well, we really don't want to have a big argument. Well, sometimes there is a big argument, you know, and sometimes you got to take something down. And my concern is we are so busy trying to be politically correct at times that we're missing things that are going on around here. And I'm watching it, and I know a lot of you are watching it, and I'll say it. There is a subculture in our community that if we continue to say it's okay, we're going to have some problems around here. And I can't speak for anyone else but Sheila. But one thing I do know, when you have a policy and you have rules, I need one of you all to tell me, who do I call when these people that I'm living around start doing what they want to do? I know the management companies talk to them, but who do I call? So I'm asking each one of you, who do I call? I asked Russ Rodick to give me a one-page letter. What is identified that needs a permit that's on the outside?
A minute.
And I haven't received that yet. You know, so I'm asking you all, please tell me, who do I go to? Who do I call? Because I can't stop them, but I know what policy is in the city of Twinsburg. I have lived in this community almost 40 years. So, you know, have a good evening.
There is no one else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Williams, your case is a little more complicated because you have a homeowners association for your condo association, which is in the homeowners association for Ethan's Green, and then we have the city. So if you have issues with fences, or new construction, it has to go in your area. It has to go to the Ethan's ARB, which is Mr. Cohen.
I know all of that.
And if there's issues with, grass or landscaping that's not taken care of, if you call Scott or I, we'll get with the association. If we can't get it resolved, we elevate it to the building department. But the building department's typically, if there's fence issues or construction issues or concerns, the building department is primarily where I would contact,
Well,
unless
it's
you
a
have any
four-step
other thoughts on this,
process.
Mr. Maestros or Mr. Yates.
Bill, it's a four-step process, and I understand that, but I'm gonna give you an example. Window Nation canvasses the whole community. They don't pull permits, and they put them in any way they want to without going through the proper channels. And if you think I'm telling you a lie, ask Russ Rowan,
Okay.
because that has been a problem. We approve once you do the paperwork, but if you don't do the paperwork, and then they show up, that's after the fact for us. And we have stopped some windows being put in. That's created a whole other issue.
Okay. You just asked for a hierarchy?
Yeah.
And that would be the hierarchy in a general sense that I think is appropriate.
Could you send me a copy of the correspondence that you sent to Russ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Next is council communication and committee reports. Mr. Bellan.
Good evening. I attended yesterday's department head meeting where we went over the particulars of the fire department with Chief Morgan and the police department with Chief Noga. I'd like to thank them both for providing us with an update. I also wanted to thank Mrs. Stauffer and all the teachers that took the sixth graders from Dodge up to Camp Fitch last week. By all accounts, it was a wonderful trip, so thank you very much. The ARB met on Thursday, May 2nd. There were 5 cases on the agenda that evening. Case 190540 was a covered front and rear porch at 9399 Chamberlain Road, which was approved. Case 190541 was a cabana. It was actually removed from the agenda to be placed on the 5/16 meeting. Case 190542 was a wall sign for Spice Thai located at 8870 Darrow Road, which was approved. Case 190434 was a storage area, deck, pergola, and patio at 2065 Spring Ridge, which was approved. And case 190428 was a detached garage at 2985 Abrams Drive, which was approved. Next ARB meeting will be held this Thursday, May 16th, 6 p.m. right here in council chambers. The next Gulf Advisory Board meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 21st at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Before I start with my council committee reports, I'd just like to remind everybody that this week is National Police Week, and it was nice to have a visit and hear some good news from Sheriff Furey. But this is an important week to law enforcement officers all over the United States as they just remember their peers that really have given the ultimate sacrifice. So if you have an opportunity this week to thank any of our fine police officers here in Twinsburg, we'd appreciate it if you just reach out and thank them for their service. The Environmental Commission had our last meeting for the season, if you will, until this fall on May 7th here in council chambers. And we did discuss how successful Earth Day was. That was April 27th. It was a big success. Mark Smalley, who's the park commissioner, said thus far this year Earth Day was our the most attended event so far at the park. We'd like to specifically thank Mayor Yates, City Council, Lynn Muter from City Planning, the Twinsburg school teachers, volunteers, and all of the Environmental Commission members for working so hard and so diligently on that event. And that just continues to gain momentum, and we're really proud to be a part of that. Ms. Walker has been in contact with Giant Eagle headquarters regarding the status of paper bags for shoppers at their stores. Per Giant Eagle's representative, request has been forwarded to their environmental control unit for further review. Interestingly enough, if anybody's been following along, Cuyahoga County is currently considering a ban on single-use bags specifically like the type that Ms. Walker is targeting. So it'll be interesting to see how Cleveland or Cuyahoga County handles that, and what response you get from Jenny. The Environmental Commissioner, Mike Schuler, gave some great information I just received today about balloon release alternatives, lead renovation repair, and painting. And we're hoping that we can get some of those links up on the website for folks to kind of continue the mission of the mission statement of the Environmental Commission, and get that information into our citizens' hands. Free shredding, our most popular event, October 12th from 9 a.m. to noon at Public Works. I'd like to thank Chris Campbell in advance for having a couple of guides available. We couldn't do it without you. The Community Cleanup Day is scheduled for October 19th from 9 to noon. And we're going to discuss, we'll be certainly looking for volunteers from the community, scout troops, students. We'll give service hours for that. But we're also going to be reaching out to businesses on Highland Road to participate in that this year. The next environmental meeting is Tuesday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. here in Council Chambers. So we do have a little break over the summer here. The Planning Commission met on May 6th here in Council Chambers, and we discussed several items, most specifically the lot split and consolidation and final site plan for the Circle K at 2496 East Aurora Road. That's the old BP gas station. Planning did pass that and recommended to council for approval, pending approval of their stormwater management plan. And I will have a motion momentarily for council to adopt the recommendation of planning. And there was also a final site plan for PFG Vistar's building addition at 8745 Chamberlain Road. That was also passed by the Planning Commission unanimously, 4-0. And that's basically for a building addition and parking expansion. It was just pending final engineering approval and the stormwater management plan, and a few landscape items that they're working through with the city planner as of right now. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion that council affirm the passage of the lot split consolidation and final site plan for Circle K at 2496 East Aurora Road, permanent parcel number 64-09314. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
Mr. I almost said Mr. Furey, Mr. Scaffide, second. Excuse me. Is there any discussion or comments or concerns? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. And finally, with planning, I would like to make a motion that council accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission approving the final site plan of PFG Vistar Building Addition, 8745 Chamberlain Road, permanent parcel number 64-09332. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Steele. Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Collins, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Wonderful. Motion passes unanimously. That does it for me. And our next Planning Commission meeting, I just had my calendar open here and I closed it, is scheduled for the 20th, which is next Monday here at 7 o'clock in Council Chambers. That is all I have this evening. Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Did you see the thing about somebody went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench in a submarine, and at the bottom of the trench they found a candy wrapper and a plastic film bag? 36,000 feet down.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Don't tell me it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, it's, they're finding microplastics in snow in the Himalayas. I mean, it's crazy. So we gotta make some smart choices.
Mrs. Stauffer.
My committees have not met.
Okay. Mr. Scaffide.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Couple things. I did attend the department head meeting last night as well with the rest of council. And I just want to thank Mr. Mayor Yates for putting those meetings together. You know, it's a good opportunity for council to sit in a small group, one-on-one with the departments that are there. And last night happened to be the police and fire. And just to see what they're thinking and what their plans are for their departments and where they've been. And so it's a good opportunity for us to just be able to sit across from each other at a table and talk and discuss, and really gives us some good insight to what's going on with the departments. I believe that was the second one of those that we've had, and we've still got a few more to go in the near future. So thank you, Mayor, for putting those together. I also attended the Earth Day celebration, and that turned out to be a really nice event as well as usual. It was a beautiful day, beautiful sunny day, a little bit cold, but it was a nice sunny day, and they had a great turnout, and thank you to everybody on the Environmental Commission and all of those that worked hard to put that together. It was a nice event. As far as the BZA goes, they haven't had a meeting in, I think they canceled the last 1 or 2 meetings. Our next meeting will be next Wednesday, May 22nd, right here at 6:30, right here in the council chambers. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Furey.
I also attended the Earth Day celebration. I'd like to thank Daisy Walker and Mayor Yates for presenting with a flag that was flown over the Capitol, supplied by Representative Joyce. It's quite an honor. I really appreciate it. It was a really nice day. Also attended the mayor's conference last night with the police and fire. Again, I think they're very useful. I appreciate you putting those together. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Okay. We were supposed to have a safety committee meeting tonight, but we canceled it for lack of agenda.
You were safe?
Yeah, so far. I was at the department head meeting last night. That was interesting. And that's it. Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We've been away for about 3 weeks, so lots gone on. I just want to touch base with a couple of things I've attended, a number of things I've attended. One is the Northern Summit CERT meeting. So for those that I'm sure everyone realizes, we have a community emergency response team here in Twinsburg. It was put together by Assistant Chief Basso, provided funding. He really spearheaded that program. He's now looking to branch out into other municipalities, so we kind of have a Northern Summit response team to really grow it and make it bigger. Our team, which has done a phenomenal job here in Twinsburg, not only in emergency events they've been able to mobilize for, but just our community events. So you always see the presence of our CERT teams at all of our city events. And so we've got other now municipalities seeing what we're doing and wanting to help, kind of develop a team within their own municipality. So we're looking at creating a bigger organization that would include kind of Northern Summit. So I was able to attend a meeting that kind of was spearheading that. A couple other things, Rock the Park, we had a reveal party. So we got our concert series kicking off again. Always a big events here in Twinsburg, but this year we did a reveal party up at the clubhouse, and it was attended by, I know, a number of council. Fortunately, I couldn't make it, but I heard it was a great event, well attended. We had the patio packed, even though it was a little cool. A lot of stuff going on, so it's good to see us being able to take the golf course and the clubhouse and do some creative events here in the city that we haven't been able to do in the past. I did attend a tour. I've been there before, but so Dave Joyce, our representative, has some oversight now of some of the budget for our park systems here in Northeast Ohio. So he's been going around and meeting with organizations, and with our partnership with Summit County Metro Parks, he invited me along just so he could see firsthand our nature center. He hadn't seen it before, and then to discuss some of the needs and issues that our Metro Parks may have that he can take back to DC with him. So I was able to attend that with him. Earth Day was a great event. I know everyone's touched on it, but it's always fun. I'm glad that the city embraces Earth Day and puts the effort that it does into it. I know it's not easy. I know my wife's been part of the committee, on the committee over the years, and And so I hear it secondhand at home, all the work that goes into it, but you guys do a great job. That same day I was able to attend, our fire department hosted some kids at from UH. So UH has a program that they bring really underprivileged kids in to try to get them exposed to different things in life. And this was going to be a tour of the fire department. And they were actually able to arrange a landing of one of the med units, the helicopter med units, right behind Station 2. So we do have the capability of landing a med unit back there. If we get it rezoned and we build houses, we'll probably not be able to do that. But and I don't think it happens very often. But it was kind of cool to see the kids. I mean, they were fascinated, and they were able to play in the helicopter and got a nice presentation from our firemen about what they do on a day-to-day basis. I did attend the State of the Schools, which I know everyone that was there was excited about the renewal passing. Even though the voter turnout was not great, the renewal did pass. You know, our school district, you know, I get asked a lot about the connection between the schools and the city, and they really are, you know, really do work hard together. And everything that we do in the city helps support the school district. Everything the school district does helps support the city. And when we're looking at quality of life and home values and all the different things that make Twinsburg what it is, making sure that we have an excellent school system is extremely important to what we do as a city and what we do, you know, what council does here. So I was, you know, I've always attended the State of the Schools. I think it's important that we keep that relationship and nourish it. I'm on the Kent State Advisory Board for our regional campus here, and I was invited, as all board members are, to the commencement that occurred at Parkside Church. We had about 70 kids there that were graduating with either associate degrees or bachelor degrees, and it was an honor to be part of Kent State and what they're trying to do here in Twinsburg. And we did receive an award for basically our friends of the regional campus, the work and the partnership that we put into helping Kent State here locally. So it was an honor for me to go and attend that commencement with all the kids, and also to receive that award on behalf of the city. Historical Society has been doing a lot to fundraise for the Roach House. There's some renovations that need to be done, and they did a pasta dinner. And I did attend that, and I went there at between 4:30 and 5:30, and the place was packed. Was a lot of seniors. I was told that's the hot time for seniors to have dinner was around 4:30, 5 o'clock. But it was a lot. You know, I think they had a flow of people there throughout the whole time that they did it. So hopefully they raised some money to help them with that project. I also ran the Tiger Fun Run. That was, I believe, Saturday morning before the Historical Society's dinner. And this is a thing that you know, our school district, as we do here in the city, promote fitness and wellness programs. This is something that the school district's trying to do with both as a family affair, just to promote wellness in our school district with kids and parents. So it's been going on for maybe 4 or 5 years now. A couple of things that we're pursuing here in the city. We did receive a grant from NOPEC, and this is something that we are able to use as a city. We've done a lot of retrofitting of lights here, switching a lot of our lighting systems to LEDs in terms of energy savings and cost savings. And one thing we're exploring right now is charging stations within Twinsburg. So we're looking to use this grant to provide a couple of charging stations for electric cars. So I'll give council more information as we, you know, get deeper into that process. But it's just something we're looking at for that grant. And then second, we're also looking at other municipalities do this, and I was approached by Chris, is to do banners during certain times of year of our veterans that have lived in Twinsburg. And so we're going to be working with the VFW, and we're going to be doing banners along our Venner roads or along our parade routes to highlight, you know, our veterans here in Twinsburg. I think it's going to be a great program. I was excited about it when Chris brought it up. Something that we can do in-house, and we're working through all the details, but as we fine-tune it, I'll get more information to council about that. And then lastly, I just want to also mention what Scott Barr was talking about. This is National Police Week, and actually tomorrow is the Peace Officers Memorial Day. And it's a huge event, happens a lot. It's all over the nation, but they have a big memorial service in D.C. I was fortunate to be able to attend that a few years ago, and if you've never been, I would encourage you to attend that at some point. Thousands and thousands of people assemble with candles as they read off the names. In 2018, we lost 163 police officers in the line of duty. And so as they read off those names, the different police forces from around the country, it's really a moving event, and the whole area around DC is just consumed by Police Week. So, they've got the police memorial there that everyone's visiting. But anyway, I just want to, thank our officers and what they do, and commend them for the work that they do every day. And I would just ask that everyone just keeps our officers on a yearly basis in their thoughts and prayers. And other than that, I'm done, and we'll do some reports. So, Chris, you want to start?
Good evening, Council. Well, since returning from winter operations, the Service Department has been making its way through the city, locating and filling potholes. Since the 1st of April, they have located 943 of those potholes. They're about, and filled them. They're about 75% of the way through the city. So they've got the hot mix material, which is much better, and so they're gonna complete the whole city and get all those holes filled for the year. They have also made a few berm repairs up on Darrow Road, which should help that area with a little bit of, with the storm flow up there and what have you. Storm area checks, because of the rain we've received, they went out twice in April just to make sure those areas are free of debris and obstructions and flowing good. No issues there. We made a sanitary sewer repair up on Wilcox. It was call it a hot spot. The sewer maintenance guys used to go there once a month, had a small dip in the line, and it causes, has potential to cause issues. So we've eliminated that, and those are areas that we look for throughout the year. Branch chipping, still going on in May. It's a big month for the branch chipping, 498 stops. And so they're hoping to complete that by the end of the week. The next round will begin on Monday, June the 3rd, so we encourage residents to get their branches out by the 3rd. Litter removal, they've gone out twice already this year since April 1st, which is good for us. That's pretty big. So street sweeping, they began on May 8th, and they're about 75% through the city. So as you can see, as we come back from winter operations, a lot of the focus is on getting the city clean and, trying to cut grass as much as possible, getting into the parks and getting those cleaned up, getting the potholes taken care of. So it's just the sprucing up that we're doing. And then in early June, we'll get our seasonal staff. We've got a few of them now, but seasonal staff will start early June, and then we'll really hit the grass cutting, the landscaping around the city and so forth. So this first month or so is, sprucing up the city. So we've got a pretty good start on it. And that's my report.
Chris, did CUE bid out their salt yet?
CUE did.
Did you get the results yet?
They're at 71 something.
Okay, that's what ODOT was for Summit County as well. 71, 72, so it's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw
I was just curious to see what CUE did.
Yeah, CUE, the low bid was 71. I think the high bid was 110, I
that
think. I
Cargill?
think the second bid was like 93.
Who was the bidder?
I
Was it
don't
Cargill?
know.
You don't know yet?
Their American road salt, I think, was $105, $110. So boy, the prices are going up.
Yeah, they're going up
really
and up.
going up,
Yeah.
So.
Okay, just
Yeah.
curious, thank you.
Yeah. So, and we are on the ODOT program this year.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You joined ODOT?
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Yeah.
good man.
No pressure there, huh? Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, Chief?
Good evening. During the month of April, the City of Twinsburg Communications Center generated 2,319 calls for service among the Twinsburg Police and Fire Departments and the Reminderville Police and Fire Departments. The total call count for the year is 9,753. The Village of Reminderville accounted for 194 calls in April, with a total of 849 calls in 2019 through April 30th. Twinsburg officers arrested or cited 116 suspects into court on 180 different counts. Officers issued 169 written warnings. Officers investigated 39 traffic crashes, of which 8 were injury crashes, 10 were on private property, and none were fatal. As the mayor, Mr. Barr, said, it is Police Week, and I really don't have much to add other than if you'll keep the family of Josh McFearin in your thoughts and prayers this week. We will have, it'll be 11 years in July that we lost him, and there isn't a day go by that I don't think of him. And one more thing, just as a reminder to our residents, Ravenna Road will be closed from the high school to the square on Memorial Day. Believe it or not, we're almost to Memorial Day, starting at 10 a.m. for the parade. We usually have the road opened up around 10:30, 11 o'clock, so just be patient that day. Hope to see everybody at the parade this year. That concludes my report tonight.
Chief, real quick, would you mind giving a quick Reader's Digest version of the speeders on Glenwood Drive as we discussed last night?
Sure, absolutely. So the speed signs, the digital speed signs are out and about. We're rotating them through different places in the city. We're working with the service department to have posts with speed limit signs mounted because, as you'll notice, some places we've got the speed limit signs on telephone poles and we can't mount that digital sign. What we were finding, we ran one on Glenwood down near the park, or the parking lot for the bike path, and what we were finding was over 9 days the average speed was somewhere around 28 miles an hour, and the signs are about 85% effective in slowing people down. So, I always caution people when they say people are speeding, people are speeding. Looks can be deceiving. I can look at a card, I'm sure Mr. Steele can now and still can, and you can probably gather within about 5 miles an hour of what the speed is, but we were trained to do that as radar operators. Most civilians have no concept of how fast a car is. So that car that's going 45 or 50, for some people, they see it that way, but it might not be that fast. It generally isn't that fast. So as we go through the different wards and we have the data, because the nice thing about those signs is they upload everything to the cloud, and then I can pull down and run reports. So as we have, we run those signs and sites in your wards, I will pass those reports on to you, so you have them for our residents, and you can show them, here's the data that we're finding when we're running these signs. So, but I think that's a good 3 miles an hour over the speed limit's not bad. I mean, I think that's a good sign. And the other thing we found was the anomaly high speeds. We went back and we corroborated that with calls for service, and turned out to be it's probably a police car going on an emergency call or an ambulance going on an emergency run. So, yeah. So that's where we are on with that, and I will provide you more details as we get more data in.
I appreciate it. Thank
Sure,
you.
absolutely.
Thanks for doing that. I appreciate that.
Chief, I have one more thing. Any thoughts on the roundabout? Are we policing that pretty well?
Yes, I mean,
any problems?
we can patrol through there. It's been very hard in the construction to sit somewhere because it's so narrow in there, but the officers are running, regular patrol from the Glenwood roundabout up through the construction zone.
Yeah.
So,
Finding those people.
I saw him pull someone over yesterday. Is that what-
Good, yeah.
going through?
There's still some people just blowing right through there.
yeah, that's, I think you're going to have that with anything, but
Yeah.
we're out there.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Maureen, it's over the years, and I think Scott will agree, whether it's the sign on the pole or a police officer sitting on the side of the road, as long as those are there, people tend to pay attention to why they're there.
Mhm.
As soon as they are not there,
Right.
they'll take off again. And that's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
And you can't be everywhere all the time
Right,
to get
right.
people to slow down.
Mhm.
Good evening.
Evening.
For the month of April, the fire department responded to 255 calls for service. For the year, that brings us up to 952 calls, which at this point is just 2%, or about 21 calls behind where we were at the same point last year. Just one notable event on April 12th, at just about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we got called to the intersection of Darrow Road and East Aurora Roads for an unresponsive female in a car. We responded to find Twinsburg police officers doing CPR and defibrillating a lady in the middle of the street. The FD assumed care and did ACLS efforts while transporting to the Cleveland Clinic, Twinsburg, during which time the patient had several different rhythm changes. But with our assistance at the ER, we were able to regain spontaneous respirations and a pulse. And she was admitted to the hospital. I haven't checked on her long term, but just a great teamwork by both departments. Fire prevention completed 13 fire inspections and also worked on 3 fire investigations, and also completed 8 hours of public education, contacting 80 people. Through the course of the month, we also completed 106 training events, totaling about 411 hours of training. Points of interest, the weather warning sirens were tested on May 4th, and they all functioned. There were issues with the one at Cannon Road and Liberty, and issues with the one on Ravenna Road in the township that we'll be checking into. Also want to update you that the 2 extractors and a drying cabinet that we had done appropriations for last month have been installed and are operational. That was under the auspices of a Bureau of Workmen's Comp grant. The fire department will be commencing hydrant flushing for the year. Again, we'll be doing all the hydrants in the city and the township, which total about 1,900 hydrants. And the process helps keep the hydrants in good working order for firefighting purposes, but it also flushes large amounts of sediment out of the water lines, which is good for everybody. We just want to caution residents to be careful of our employees as they're out in the street working on those, and if you do get cloudy water in your home, just let it run for a little while until it clears up. In most cases, that should just take a few minutes. And finally, on April 11th, Twinsburg firefighter medic Demetrius Butler, as you all know, was killed himself, and he was a valued member of our department, and he was a good employee for the city of Twinsburg. We're heartbroken, along with his family, for his loss, and we're still struggling to come to grips with what all happened, but we do want to thank the community, the city administration, city council, the city employees for their words and gestures of care and concern over the past several weeks. It's been much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Larry?
Good evening. On council's agenda tonight, there is a resolution 37-2017, which will authorize the mayor to enter into a CRA property tax abatement agreement for a project in the southern part of the city for PEPPERL+FUCHS, a company that will be moving from Twinsburg Township to the city of Twinsburg, and will be creating a 50,000 square foot corporate headquarters on Darrow Road, just north of the CVS drugstore. The proposed property tax abatement will provide a 50% 12-year abatement. It'll result in $9.7 million worth of payroll coming to the city, and a $25 million investment in a new construction of a 50,000 square foot office building at that location. We're making progress on the Downtown Redevelopment District Economic Development Plan. I hope to have a draft to council by the next council meeting. And it's my hope that we can then have that referred to Planning Commission for their input prior to taking any action. Also, we need to consider how the Downtown Redevelopment District would be monitored by a development board or some other entity, the Tax Incentive Review Council or something like that. Those are decisions we'll have to arrive at, council will have to arrive at after we get a little deeper into the discussion. As the mayor stated, we're working on a grant for NOPEC that would provide electric car charging stations. We're currently researching costs and have identified a number of sites that we'll continue to discuss internally and bring that back to council in the near future. Community Development Block Grant for the Senior Center sidewalk improvements has been approved by Summit County, and the actual construction will occur, has already been bid and will be constructed in probably over the next 60 days. So that should be improved, and the sidewalks at the senior center portion of the rec center will be all new sidewalks. We have an R7 cluster zone district plan going to Planning Commission that's being considered. Also, with the recent approval of the Vistar expansion and council's approval tonight, that 78,000 square foot addition for Vistar can commence after the review of the code compliance information has been provided by the building department. The CIC has not met. We're struggling to find a meeting date that is going to be satisfactory to the members so we can get a quorum. The last meeting we did not have a quorum, and we'll keep you updated as soon as we nail down a date. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
And Sarah?
Good evening, council. Income tax receipts for the month of May are just under $2.5 million. Last year is when we received the largest payment. So we were at 3.1 last year, so it's a big difference. It's 20% down. But we did budget based on the 2017 numbers. We budgeted to be at 1% above those numbers, and right now we're 5% above those 17 numbers. So even though we're a little off from last year, we're okay budget-wise from what we planned on. We knew this would happen. So for the year, we are at $9.7 million. Thank you very much.
All right, and that's all we have for department head reports. A couple of things I do want to mention is our Civil Service Commission. We have an opening. Tom Kornoff is resigning. He's going to be moving toward out of state to live closer to grandchildren, but with a very valuable member of our Civil Service Commission. So if you're interested, if there's a resident out there that's interested in that commission, please contact Shannon by email and let her know. And then we're still looking for a couple of, I don't know if it's one or two, one teen rep for our Environmental Commission. So again, I just wanted to mention that because I know we got kids coming out of school here, but we'd love to get that position filled. So if you are a teen, or if you know a teen that would be a good fit for that, have them contact us. And that's all the reports we have this evening.
Okay. Next, we're moving into legislation. Before we start with the first one, I have a motion I'd like to put to council. I discussed this earlier. Motion that City Council does not oppose the transfer of the liquor permit for Benwanyo LLC, doing business as Spice Thai Cuisine, to Mango Thai Cuisine LLC, doing business as Mango Thai Cuisine and Sushi Bar, located on Darrow Road, and authorize the clerk to submit the form to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellan seconds. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, next we're on to Resolution 37, 2019.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with PEPPERL+FUCHS, Inc. and P&F Realty, Inc. under the Community Reinvestment Area Program created pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 3735.66 for real property tax abatement.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 37, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yield.
Mr. Furey, it's yours.
Mr. Furey seconds. Is there any discussion?
This business is moving into the city from the township, will bring $9.7 billion in payroll immediately.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 37, 2019 passes 6-0. Next is Ordinance 46, 2019.
An ordinance accepting the lands and improvements dedicated to public use for the Shepherd Preserve subdivision, accepting the maintenance bond guarantee and reducing the performance guarantee accordingly, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to declare 46, 2019 an emergency and place it on its third and final reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stauffer seconds. Is there any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is that we want to reduce the bond as soon as possible and release the cash for the, as the builder has already met that burden.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 46, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Furey seconds. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, Ordinance 46, 2019 passes 6-0. Next, we're on to Resolution 47, 2019.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a letter of engagement with the Ohio Performance Team of the State Auditor's Office.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 47, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yep, thank you. This came before the Finance Committee a couple weeks ago. And, you know, this originally started out that we were going to do 3 departments, police, fire, and Parks and Rec. And the cost on that was $50,000. Then it was discussed that maybe we should spend another 30 and do all the departments. And, you know, I've said this a couple times this year, and I think that we need to, in my opinion, you know, we need to watch the money that we're spending. And we keep saying, well, it's just another 30, and oh, it'll just save us some time. And, you know, this thing's going to take a good 1.5 to 2 years to complete. So why do we have to commit to anything right now? Unfortunately, you know, I voted no to recommend it to council to spend the additional 30. Therefore, I'm going to vote no tonight on this. I'm all for doing the audit on the 3 departments at the $50,000, but you know, I believe this is going to pass anyway, according to the vote that came before us a couple weeks ago. But that's just my opinion, and that's why I'm going to vote no tonight. Thank you. That's it.
I have a real quick question. Did you say they said that it was a 6 to 8 month process?
So we're going to have a kickoff meeting mid-July, and
Okay.
from there, they had said that it would be a 6 to 8 month process, so that would put us into the first quarter of 2019 to see results.
Okay.
But we can get results earlier on specific items that we ask for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
I did.
Mr. Furey?
I agree with Mr. Scafidi that we have to watch what we're doing in the future as far as money. I will tell you that when we did this process almost 15 years ago, that we used it as a blueprint to change the way that the city operated in merging duplicate functions, and I think there's some duplicate functions now that we might be able to look at. It gave us a blueprint to really get some efficiencies, which long-term saved us a lot of money. It allowed us to go to RETA as opposed to doing income tax and collections internally. So we had over they realized we had over $750,000 of uncollected income tax. And our system's much more efficient now. We talked about converting the multiple garages we had and the service departments they had into one group, because we used to have, each department had their own. The purpose of the performance audit is to see how other people do things and if we can adopt, and if we can learn or adopt some best practices to lower our costs and increase our efficiencies to the city. I think the priority would be to look at police, fire, and park and recs, because they were not covered in the last one. But I believe this is going to take longer than 8 or 9 months. I believe this is going to stretch out to the 12 to 16 month range, because there's going to be more feedback, and that's how it went last time. But I do think in the long term, it's worthwhile to have all the departments done, for the first time in 15 years. So I will be supporting this, and I see value in this report.
Anybody else? Okay, Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
No.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 47, 2019 passes 5-1. Next is Ordinance 48, 2019.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 18, 2019 for the appropriation ordinance of the City of Twinsburg for the year 2019.
Stands on its first reading. Right. Next is Ordinance 49, 2019.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 18, 2019 for the appropriation ordinance of the City of Twinsburg for the year 2019 and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to declare Ordinance 47, 2019 an emergency and place it on its third and final reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Furey seconds. Is there any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is that we've received grant money in the amount of $130,000, which is the largest grant I've ever seen for a ball field in Park and Recs. When we put $2 million out there when Liberty Park came, we have never got grants like this. We got $5,000 to $10,000 grants from the Indians, but nothing like this. In addition to the $130,000 here, the TPL organization has put a significant amount of money together. I think we're at the $75,000 range to add to this project. So the total cost is going to be minimal to the city. We will maintain the park long term, but every year soccer fields and baseball fields are those entities are always looking for more as there are more participants in there. So that's the reason for the emergency, is to get this money in as soon as possible and start the process pulling through.
Anybody else?
Just to clarify on what Mr. Furey said, there's no additional money included in this appropriation amendment. We are simply moving funds to the correct account. So it's not an additional expenditure.
Right.
Yes.
Correct. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 49, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stauffer seconds. Is there any further discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Ordinance 49, 2019 passes 6-0. Next, we're on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Barr.
I have nothing further this evening, Mr. Steele. Thank you.
Mrs. Stauffer.
I have nothing further.
I have nothing further. Mr. Furey.
The Josh McFearin golf outing this year will be on Friday, July 12th. The cost is $125 per person, or $500 for a team, and we're limiting it to 144 golfers with 36 teams. There's prize money for first, second, and third place. There's a long drive contest. The money that's raised by this golf outing, 100% of it goes to the scholarship funds that are handed out annually by the Josh McFearin Foundation. If you're interested, Brian Donato puts this together every year. He is available at bdonato, D-O-N-A-T-O, at twinsburg.oh.us, and his phone number is 330-224-4308. If you don't play golf, but you would still like to support this event, you can sponsor a hole for a nominal fee. You can say thank you to our police officers, and they put a sign out with your name on it. There are lots of ways you can participate if you're not a golfer. There's a dinner at this as well. And if you have any questions, contact Brian Donato. Again, that's 216-224-4308. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Scaffide.
I have nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Bellan.
I have three quick things this evening. I want to take a minute to talk about Colin Bowser. If you don't remember, he was the young man who a couple years ago went into cardiac arrest at the football field. And he was then resuscitated by our police and fire folks. He's recovered fully from that, but he's dealing with another challenge now. He has leukemia. So as you can imagine, he's got a large financial burden on him and his family. So some of his his neighbors and family are putting together a fundraiser for him on June 8th. There's a Facebook event where you can get all the details. The URL is far too long to read, so if you go to gregbellantwinsburg.com/Team Colin, it'll direct you there and you can get all the details. The Rotary Club of Twinsburg is taking orders for their annual flag program for the 2019 season. The program has also been expanded to include township residents as well. 1 year purchase is, you'll get a flag at your home or business for $35. You get Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, Patriots Day, and Veterans Day. You can get all the details at www.twinsburgflags.com. And finally, garage sale season is coming soon. The combined Corbett's Farm and Meadowwood garage sale will be held on Friday, June 14th and Saturday, June 15th. Further details as they become available. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Scaffide.
Thank you. You know what, I'm sorry that I forgot this, but I would like to extend my condolences to the family of Tina Davis. She serves on our school board. Her mom passed away over the last weekend. And, I've known Joanne, her name is Joanne Kirshner. I've known the Kirshner family for several years. And I personally knew her mom, and she was a great lady, and my heart goes out to their family, and I just want to wish them my thoughts and prayers during this difficult time to everybody in the Kirshner family, as well as Tina and Brian Davis. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we, Mayor, I'm sorry.
That's right, I have nothing
My
else
fault.
this evening.
Gotta keep looking right. Nothing, okay. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Ms. McFearin. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Scaffide seconds. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
No.
Mr. Bellan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 5-1. Okay, I would like to say something. Tomorrow is, as everybody said, the police memorial. I miss Josh, even though I'm not down in the PD anymore. He was a funny kid. He was a good cop, and unfortunately, he was only a father for 3 months. Thanks. We're adjourned.
Hey, Greg.